We are back in playoff mode for the Overwatch League Stage 2 playoffs coming at you. And in our moment of the week, brought to you by Omen by HP, we're going to bring in Emily Rand, and she's going to help us break down these matchups. Now, Emily, let's take it day by day. We have the Dragons and the Shock, and we have the Spark and the Spitfire. Now, London, obviously the reigning Season 1 champions. The Shock didn't drop a map all stage, a first in the entire Overwatch League. And then you have newcomers Shanghai and Spark. Talk to us about the chances of the newcomers coming into the playoffs.
So we kind of saw the Shanghai San Francisco matchup previously because Shanghai, I would say, gave them, the most trouble in terms of trying to keep that undefeated map streak. I actually, and I know this has been my hot take the entire time, but I actually think the Shock are the most formidable team in the Overwatch League right now. I am aware that they did have a slightly easier schedule this past stage, but I still think their map, that undefeated map record, is incredibly impressive. And they really know how they want to play the game. I think it's going to be very difficult for Shanghai to win this matchup, even if they do end up taking a map, because again, in that undefeated run, we saw Shanghai give them the most trouble. However, I am still giving this to the Shock. I think the Shock are definitely going to end up in the finals. As for the other matchup, it's pretty interesting. Hangzhou are a team that kind of slipped into playoffs. It was either going to be them or the Seoul Dynasty. We're starting to see them kind of become the team that was promised in the offseason when this roster was announced and all of these insanely good players were put together on the same team. I still don't think they have the same coordination that the Spitfire do, and the Spitfire have, again, even after kind of a rocky start to the year, I think they've figured out how they want to play. They've looked very good recently, and I'm going to give them the edge, but I won't be as surprised if Spark upset the Spitfire. I would be incredibly floored if Shanghai managed to upset the Shock.
I think we all kind of would be, especially with the momentum that the Shock are carrying forward into these playoffs. We're all looking forward to how far that they can go. Now let's move on to the next set of matches, NYXL versus the Gladiators and the Titans against the Fuel. Now, when you look at NYXL, the first thing you think about is choking. That's basically what they're known for in high pressure situations, but the Gladiators have looked solid all stage. Meanwhile, the Titans remain untouchable, even with a relatively solid Fuel coming in. So walk us through those matchups.
So I'm going to do Titans Fuel first because I think it's going to be the more one-sided match, and I'm going to give it to the Titans. I don't think that the Fuel can match them in a triple-triple mirror. I don't think the Fuel can come up with any sort of DPS composition to unseat Vancouver. I think this is definitely going to be a Vancouver series, and I'm also fully expecting to see them in the finals along with the Shock again, so we can look forward to that matchup, I think. New York and LA is really interesting, though, because I think both of these teams have some pretty interesting weaknesses, and even in their run, because the Gladiators were one of the first teams to actually make the stage playoffs due to their record, even in that, I think there are openings and opportunities that we saw, for example, in their game against the Valiant, that the Valiant were able to exploit a few times. And the NYXL, they should have this, right? Like you go in and you think like, oh man, they should definitely have this series given the talent on the team, given their pedigree from the stage playoffs all throughout last year. But this is going to be a really close series. I left it up to myself as to who I was going to choose going into talking myself through it. I'm going to go for the Gladiators right now. I think the New York Excelsior have the potential to be a stronger, tighter team, but we just really haven't seen that throughout this stage.
Always tough to pick a winner, Emily, especially when you're there week over week covering them. But you heard it here first. Shock Titans finals prediction. And we'll finally see.
Let's go.
We'll finally see, Emily, if your hypothesis of the Shock being better than the Titans comes to fruition. Emily Rand, thank you as usual for joining us. And for more Overwatch League coverage, you can keep it locked right here on ESPN.com/esports.